What a crazy news cycle. So we see regional banks failing, we see crypto falling, gold skyrocketing, debt is skyrocketing, but then overwhelmingly the Trump administration had a surplus and actually paid down debt this month. Crazy. It shows we are in a major volatile time and no one really knows what to do with their money. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today. Where is our safe haven? Where should we keep our money as a prepper, as someone who wants to live with freedom and liberty? Where's our step for that? Also, we're going to talk about New York City again. I don't want to keep bringing up New York City. It's not about New York City. It's about Zohran Mamdani and how his push, did you listen to the debate and highlights yesterday? It was literally dealing with mosque and Muslims and how they want to grow that in New York City and how Cuomo should feel terrible for not knowing names of mosques. What are we seeing in our cities, especially in places where we're leading by Muslim rule? It's unbelievable. Wait till you hear these stories. Also, Don Lemon, you know, the wonderful commentator that he is, talks about how people, when it comes to the No Kings protest, and also people of color should pull up and be ready to fight. What does that actually mean? We're going to discuss all that today. And then lastly, we're going to talk about Walmart, how Walmart is now implementing, with this major announcement, using AI for your benefit. They're going to find ways to utilize and help you shop the best way to know what you need. See, this is going into that digital biometric footprint, and now all big businesses are tapping into it. So the more that your fridge tells you what you need, the more that your pantry tells you what you need, then all of a sudden they're going to work with Walmart to then help you know what your shopping list should be. You know, that's called convenience, isn't it? But really what it's called is completely controlling your life. We're going to discuss this new Walmart announcement and how, again, be very wary of technology, because technology then will rule over us. We're making this thing that will once put us in prison. It's coming. Let's dive into these stories today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here on this beautiful, beautiful day here on my farm. Thank you again so much for watching our content. It means the world to us. Remember, check our vlog channel out, Life with Colby Mack. Also, follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I'm usually sharing things dealing with breaking news or our farm or my life each and every day. So please go follow me on those platforms as well. Now let's jump into the stories of the day, because they are huge when it comes to your money and when it comes to your freedom. First, let's jump into this money situation. Then we'll talk a little bit about Walmart and some of the crazy things going on with it. And then we'll finish with this protest that's coming up, because there's some left that's trying to make more problems for the Trump administration. Let's talk about the money first. Americans are drowning in credit card debt. This is from the Kobayashi letter. It says, U.S. household credit card debt is hit a record $1.33 trillion in August. The combined average credit card balance is now over $10,000 per household. It says some states are averaging around $15,000, while some are a little bit under that. States like California, Alaska, Hawaii, Texas, New York, Florida. So some of our biggest states are actually having people that are in debt up to their eyeballs, and then credit cards on top of that. So housing markets, the cost of living, and now the credit cards. See, people dog out Mississippi. Mississippi is not that it's poor, it's just easier to live here. So we don't have those problems. Actually, Mississippi's credit card debt is way under the national average. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it good. We still are in debt. People are still struggling. But it's just when you go to these states that have high cost of living, you may be making more money, but it's actually costing you more to live there. So that's what is happening with credit card debt. Now let's go with other stories. If you noticed yesterday, there was a major regional bank crisis. Now, I've told you before to get your money out of national banks because they're too endowed to the government, meaning the government has too many ties to it, the Fed has too many ties to it, so their goal is always to work with the government over you. I've told you to get out of regional banks because regional banks tend to be the redheaded stepchild. What I mean by that is they tend to get picked on the most because they have to play the games that the big banks play. However, they don't have the leverage that the big banks do. So they tend to struggle. They tend to try to grow and have alliances, and they try to build better relationships, but ultimately they highly leverage themselves. And I think we're seeing that today. They said that there was over 8 major regional banks that all lost within hundreds of millions of dollars yesterday. And they said even though it will rebound a little bit today, it's probably going to hurt And the warning is that people are worried about cash, worried about debts, and worried about people taking their money out of the banks. So I've always told you to bank local. To be honest with you, to me, the local banks are the ones that are invested in your community, and the ones that you can work together, kind of like a cooperative, like a credit union, I think are the best places for money. Now, I'm not telling you that yours in your local town is the best. I say do your research. But most local banks, like I'm banking with a local bank. I know the bank president. He goes to my church. Like, we have a relationship. Now, does that mean he's going to be the most honest guy? No, but I feel like I'm not just a case number to him. He knows me. I know him. Now, you may not have that relationship, but I would challenge you to find that. Most banks, especially local banks, will give you a breakdown of their bank and how strong they are. We need to be invested in the local bank, because the local bank is absolutely the one looking out for your community more than anything. You know, the local bank that I'm part of is one of the biggest funders of our school systems in our town, one of the biggest helps of like the cancer societies and the church events. Because why? They're invested in the community. I'm not seeing Bank Plus or a regional bank do that. I'm not seeing Bank of America do that. I'm not seeing Wells Fargo do that. They're not worried about this little old town in Mississippi. You know who he is though? My local bank. So you need to be focused on local banks. Now also, we had gold skyrocketing. Now, I've told you to buy gold, and I'm doing a video Sunday with me pushing another gold provider, because what I want you to understand, all these people that we've talked about with gold, like all these, I told you to watch some of these companies, watch physical gold, watch moving, some of your money into gold for safety. Every one of that, all that skyrocketed. So I've bought gold since it was $1,500 to $1,800 an ounce, and I had people telling me then it was going to be, it's never going to go up any higher, and we're looking at $4,300 today. It may go down, it may go up, but ultimately, do you know that gold just passed the biggest asset in the world? Gold just became the biggest asset in the world. Over Bitcoin, over any company, the biggest asset for the world right now is gold. And there are several banks, some of these big banks, that are buying it, that I've been telling you about it. Fed's buying it. They're all saying now that it could easily see $5,000 to $6,000 an ounce just in the next year. Now, I hope gold is the future, because it's always been the past too, and it's always made for countries to be stable. When countries end up not being stable, it's because they pulled away from gold and started making some other kind of funds of money, kind of like the dollar. Now, do I want the dollar to be good and strong and cash be strong? Absolutely. But your Congress and your government has destroyed that. So therefore, the dollar is collapsing. Now, here you have two ways, Western man. You have two ways for freedom. Gold and silver, and building the dollar back on that is true sustainability and true freedom. If you tend to go towards these stable coins, crypto, Bitcoin, which has fell to pieces over the last 2 days, and yes, it will recoup, but the purpose is when it goes down, you'll see more people tell you to buy into it. Crypto is going to fully be embraced by the government and by the biggest players, because it is a control element. I know people are like, Colby, you don't know, you're foolish, you think it's all bad, it's actually good, it's the blockchain, we're safe, we're parallel. No, it's not. The U.S. government just became one of the 5 biggest whales in crypto, meaning in basically Bitcoin. It means they have a bigger say in the stock of crypto because they have from the biggest place. They could either sink it or make it go. They could either make it rise or make it fall, because they are one of the biggest whales in it. They have the biggest holdings in it. Now, we have a lot more financial news, but before we do, a word from today's sponsor. We're sitting in our pantry, and everything that we eat, we are very conscientious of it. But one thing we don't tend to think about enough is the water that we are drinking. Now, we're 100% on well water. We love well water. However, we don't know what's seeping into that well water. Are we worried about fertilizers and from runoff from businesses? What is going on with our water? Now, we hope our well is safe, but we have no guarantee. That's why we purify our waters with Cove Pure. Cove Pure gives us a peace of mind to know that what we are drinking and what our kids are drinking are getting of the utmost best quality water that we can place in our bodies. A lot of people worry about arsenic and lead, and those things are major. Nitrates from runoff. But my biggest issue too is pharmaceuticals. How many times do you know those kind of things, forever chemicals, nitrates, arsenic, all this stuff getting into your water? When all that stresses you out like it has me, Cove Pure eliminates up to 99.9% of contaminants in our water. The PFAs and forever chemicals, I mean, when you think about like Brita filters and all these other filtration systems, most of them are not doing what Cove Pure is. Not only can you get a $200 savings today by using the link below, it is small enough to fit on any cabinet and counter. The biggest, winner for me is if I want hot water, I literally push hot water. If I want cold water, I can push cold water. If I want room temperature water, I can push room temperature water, and it can gauge it depending on what size cup that I have. This thing is so personable to you and your family. Get the peace of mind to know that the food that you're eating is great, but the water you're drinking is safe for your children. Check out Cove Pure today. Get $200 off with my link below. Check out covepure.com/themacs. I promise you, this is one of the best investments you will make in prepping and with your family. I love well water. I want to know that my water's safe. In America, hey, you want to know that your water is the best quality. I don't want to trust just governments and regulation to that. I want to trust Cove Pure. Check out Cove Pure today. covepure.com/themacs. $200 savings. You will be so glad you did. Please be very careful of crypto. It's going down. It's what we're seeing. The truth is, here's the thing. Did you know during this Russia-Ukraine thing, now Ukraine is having to do rolling blackouts because they don't have the grid. It's not powerful enough. Here's what you want. This is just perfect foreshadowing of why crypto is dangerous. Right now, data centers, the military, everybody's trying to build more ways to build energy and grid opportunities because of the cost of energy. And not only that, the cost to manipulate technology and have AI and to have crypto mined here in America. So what we're seeing with Russia hurting the grid of Ukraine, the grid is not strong enough to push the whole Ukraine. All right, America's grid is already at a very vulnerable spot. Just like Elon said just 2 days ago, he said Bitcoin and crypto is completely backed by the grid. Now, if our grid is volatile, data centers are needing to be built. Nobody's wanting them because they're dangerous, and to be honest with you, they're hurting our groundwater. And I don't want one personally anywhere near me. Everybody's building these small nuclear reactors. We're needing more energy. In war, we see grid problems that are happening. We are completely dependent on our grid to make it based on China and their goods. Why do we want a currency built on all those things working out very perfectly for us to have money? Well, I'm just asking. You know how we can make sound money? You base the dollar back on gold and silver and you start cutting the budget. Prime example of why this matters and why Trump may have a massive win here, and let's see what he does with it. It came out that Trump had a $200 billion surplus this month when it comes to tariffs and how America did. Scott Bessent said that in September we will take in $200 billion and we paid the deficit fell $41 billion as revenue surge and spending cooled. This is why this is so important to keep the shutdown going and start getting rid of some of these jobs that we don't need, and also start learning how to balance a budget again. We're in surplus this month. We've not seen surplus like this within, they said, what was it, like 20 or 30 years, really since the 90s, so excuse me, 30 years, 35 years. This is winning. You know how you fix your dollar? You start winning again. You start saving money again. Did you know that the Democrats now are trying to sue Trump because Trump has found other ways to pay for the military, and now they're wanting to sue Trump because they're wanting to spend more of your money and say they can't pay the military until the shutdowns are done. So the Democrats are wanting to do that. We're in an upside down world, and don't get me wrong, Republicans, the people with the R behind their name, are not the best players in the game, but ultimately they are doing a whole lot better than the Democrats. And right now we're seeing some positivity with this administration. But again, it goes back to, are we going to move towards making our dollar strong, gold, silver, and building our dollar, which I'm scared to say I don't believe it's going to happen, or are we going to look towards this new crypto push? This new crypto push is going to be focused on the grid, and we see that it's going to be very dangerous over the next coming days and weeks. Stay with local banks, stay with gold and silver, keep using cash when you can. Anytime you can, use cash, because that is how you have ultimate freedom. And of course, stay out of debt. Cut the credit card up and get out of debt. You've got to. Now, I want to talk about Mamdani again. Again, I do not like this guy, but I believe this is a premonition of what the Democrats are becoming. The fact that Mamdani just attempted to shame Andrew Cuomo for not knowing the name of a mosque is exactly how it works. We bring all these people in, they do not assimilate, and ultimately welcome to the new 2025 where we are worried about Islam more than we're worried about freedom in America. That was from Andrew Colvett, which of course is, was the executive producer of the Charlie Kirk Show. What we saw on the stage was a complete and utter joke of what liberal thinking has become, where it's all about building this new socialist mentality, this new version of liberalism that embraces Islam and the movement of sympathizing for Islam versus Christianity, freedom, and overtaxing. I mean, we see Mamdani pushed a few things, and he is overwhelmingly going to be elected to New York City mayor. He is pushing higher taxes, no property ownership, higher costs for white people and people who've made money in their life. So he wants to take more of your money, wants to abolish the Second Amendment, and also wants to bring in Islam more. Is that things that you as Americans want? Why are we allowing this to happen in our cities? And every big player in the Democrat Party is turning around and backing him over Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo is a joke too. But what I'm saying is this shows the battle for the cities and the states that have this liberal leaning. Now, we're worried about Mamdani, but you better be worried about every city and every fight that the Democrats are trying to push. They're pushing this No Kings protest tomorrow. I just want you to listen to what Don Lemon just said about what he believes that people should be doing, especially the black and brown among us. Listen to this. This is direct quote. Don Lemon tells quote-unquote brown people to buy firearms and help show up when it comes to ICE. Nobody is illegal. It's just a misdemeanor. We need to stand up. Now, this is where it's like the guy from the AG that's running, the guy that's running for AG in Virginia. When you hear these little threads of violence that the left is pushing, from leftist commentators, from the left ideology, from Democrats, and then they're embracing this Islam movement, they're embracing this No Kings protest, they're embracing the shutdown as in wanting to spend more money on people who are not native here. Look at what happened in UK. They embraced the movement of Islam. They have embraced immigration, and what did that do? Keir Starmer came out and said, because of the immigrants, I mean, it could be a problem now, so therefore we need to bring in digital ID so we can keep up with migrants. So he used the migrants not only to get his way, not only to get elected, but to also now implement digital ID. The control element that now is so powerful in UK. That's exactly the Democrats' plan here. Mamdani is telling you that. He wants to tax you 52% plus 2 extra percent for every white family that is affluent in affluent neighborhoods. Not only that, he wants to take your rights for your First Amendment of property, owning property and freedom. He literally said, I want to abolish private property. 2, he wants to take away your firearms. So if that's the movement, and then you have Don Lemon, who's a leftist propagandist and an influencer on the left, saying we need to take up arms of the black and brown people because these white people and because these conservatives and these ICE people are hurting us, we need to be pushing violence. Chuck Schumer said the same thing, pushing violence. You know why? Because he knows he's probably fixing to lose the senator race to AOC. So now he's trying to get a little bit more in a vitriol, a little bit more dangerous. This talk, this violence is dangerous for America. Now here's the thing. I want you to pay attention real closely. So now you as a Christian conservative, or you as someone who believes in freedom, you as a conservative libertarian, you as a Republican, you as a MAGA supporter, you as a Trump supporter, you're facing it from both ways. You're facing it from the left, of course, which is the one that we should be battling only. But no, we're facing it from the woke right too. Candace came out and said that she will not support Donald Trump. Dave Smith came out and said that he would never support Trump again. You have Tucker Carlson telling you that Hamas is just a political group just like Israel, so they're not terrorists. We should sympathize and love these people as they're killing people in the street. Literally, Hamas is bringing Palestinians to the street, taking them out, but I don't hear the pro-Palestinian rallies going against that. Do you? They're not. See, there was an agenda behind it. The woke right is the same way. So you're getting it from both sides. So here's the danger for Trump. And here's where I hope he stands staunch. And you as a Christian conservative, you as a freedom-minded oriented person, you as someone who's a conservative libertarian, you as MAGA supporter, you don't get, you have to just push out the noise. because the noise is now coming from both sides. If we want the world to be better and change, we have to keep to the fact of not doing the same old things and listening to this influence from both sides. We have a No Kings protest, and you literally have left and people telling you that they want you to be more violent. You have on the right telling you that Trump is doing everything wrong and that they have all the right answers. At the same time, they're promoting the same things that the left is promoting. Do you realize that? You literally had people, Nick Fuentes, who is supposed to be America First, is literally telling people that he wishes more people would have voted for Kamala. So you tell me how they're going to impact you and make you feel like they're the new face of the Republican Party, and then the left is telling you that they have all the right answers as socialists. That means our fight and our preparations is of the utmost importance. Having a big, nice surplus this month means nothing when we can't have Congress do the right things, when we can't have the right be balanced to fight only the left and try to win and make Trump's agenda actually work. Here's the danger. Here's the danger. When the banks are failing, we're worried about the grid. We're worried about the leftist protests. They're telling us to take up arms and they're going to work towards harming us as the white man. And then you have the right wing, the conservative right wing, which is not truly conservative and right wing at all. They're more just grifters. They believe in their own pushes. They honestly, Candace Owens wouldn't be happy with anybody being president other than Candace Owens. Tucker Carlson will never be happy with the president. He wants to act like he's happy with the president, but ultimately then he kind of like stabs him in the back. Dave Smith, same way. Ian Carroll, same way. Nick Fuentes, same way. All these people are the same exact way. They believe their narcissism and their selfishness is so much more important. At the same time, the left believes that too. But we voted for Trump. 75 million people voted for Trump and his platform. Not Candace, not Dave Smith, not AOC, not Schumer. Stay focused on our goals. If you go back to my videos in November of 24, I said that Trump will face more battles and have more financial problems and have more issues from the left and right than anyone in history, because we've done things so wrong for so long that when it comes to head, when we start splitting families up, when we start deporting, when we start fixing everything, the left is going to go crazy. And then, of course, the woke right is too, the grifters. So we still have a major uphill battle. But we can't allow for Islam and socialists on the left to become the new narrative. But we can't allow for these people on the right to completely dismantle the good things that are happening. I want you to listen to this quote, and this quote to me just brings it home. If we keep doing the same old, then we're going to get the same results. I want you to listen to this. This has nothing to do with this scenario, but just pay attention to what I'm saying. This is from a guy named Tony. He says, a country run by banks will always be in debt. You know, we allow the Fed and these banks to run us, but ultimately we stay in piles of debt, don't we? Healthcare ran by Big Pharma never actually cures diseases. They need you in the hospitals. They need you taking this medicine. So it's not going to heal you. It's going to sustain you until the next dose. A state run by war will never know peace. I mean, look at where we're at. We fund more war than we actually fund peace. And now we're seeing it back at home, where now we're having protests and riots for people doing the right thing. And last it says, a nation run by media will never know the truth. We're being impacted and influenced by two different sides that both represent the worst of America. And if you really want freedom, you better stay away from both sides and start staying focused on the one thing that matters. Our faith, grounded in faith, spiritual healing, our nation becoming better, reawakening, reinvigorating into America policies, and knowing that if we elected Trump, then we have to trust what he's doing. Not that he is some amazing God or anything like that, but that he is the person that hopefully will keep making things better for Americans. Right now, we have a long road ahead of us. We have to stay focused, and we have to just push the noise out and start preparing and be independent and sustainable, because these things will impact you. Especially the less you're independent, the more you're dependent, the more all this will mess with you. This always comes back to a spiritual battle to me, because the things we're facing now is not a left versus right. It's not even truthfully a conservative versus liberal. It's truly good versus evil. And until we're willing to say that out loud, I don't actually believe we're going to fix anything until we admit that this is a good versus evil, pure evil scenario that we're facing. Control versus freedom, absolutely. But more than that, good versus evil. We're going in with this, Walmart. Walmart made this big announcement. It says that it's giving more control to ChatGPT and other AI platforms. It says your shopping cart, everything that you know will be easier because OpenAI, ChatGPT, and other AI platforms are going to start working along with your household items to then tell Walmart what you're needing. So therefore, AI will help build the grocery list that helps you shop better. It says Walmart just rolled out the ChatGPT shopping, letting AI anticipate what you need to fill your cart. They want to know everything about you, where you don't have to worry about checkout, you don't have to worry about input. They do it all for you, and they use your money that you have on these accounts and your biometrics. All that will be handled at your convenience, to where you don't have to worry about what you're eating this week. AI does it for you. Now let's go back to what this whole video has been about. It's been about control. It's been about everybody having an opinion to make your life better. It's about how we've built technology and we've built all these things that somehow make conveniences, and we're happy about it, but ultimately it's putting us in our own prisons. The debt has put us in our own prisons. The banks and in control has put us in our own prisons. The government has put us in our own prisons. Now we're looking at technology being great, wonderful, but it's putting us in our own prisons, including cryptocurrencies. What Walmart's doing here is just a foreshadowing of what's to come, where everything that we do will be based on AI giving us the rights to do it or not. It's happening in China already. It's starting in UK, and it's coming to a town near you and a city near you. All it needs is just a little bit more chaos, a little bit more unrest, and then all of a sudden something sparks, and then we realize, well, we've put ourselves in the prison. Pay attention to these stories. It's not meant to scare you. It's meant to say, if you want freedom, you want liberty, then you better start looking outside of all these as the answers. Start looking, of course, spiritually, knowing that you can be grounded in your faith, but not only that, that God gives us wisdom and common sense to say, if everybody else has put their money on crypto and all these big banks are buying it, and all these big people are telling you, the people that want to control you, are telling you this is the best investment, I might not be wanting to do that. If the left is telling you that socialism and Islam is the way and that government control is the way, I may want to stay away from that. If the right grifters are telling you that nobody knows the answer but them, and their narcissism, and they can spew whatever they want and you're supposed to believe it, that might not be the way either. What I think we should realize is the only answer is to be independent, sustainable, and be prepared. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. It's meant to make you think. And I hope that you're thinking, I hope you're looking at these stories, because if the left keeps telling you that they want to take your farms, but then they're also telling their people to take up arms, the brown and the minorities take up arms, that's never a good sign for you. So be prepared, be focused, be independent. Stay awake, guys. Thank you so much for watching us. God bless.